I think people as young as in their, say, mid 20s to folks in their mid 40s are going through what I would call a career crisis. It seems like job dissatisfaction is at an all time high for a myriad of different reasons. But when people say, I think I need a new career, what they're often saying is something about my work no longer fits, but I have no clue what that is. And that confusion is important, but getting down to the why of it all is even more important because changing roles versus changing your career requires very different levels of disruption, risk, and self reinvention. Making the wrong move can cost you time, confidence, and momentum when it comes to your career. So let's slow it down and talk about it. If you're unhappy at work, typically the narrative from family and friends is, oh, just quit, pivot, start over, do something that's more aligned to you. But dissatisfaction doesn't automatically mean misalignment. So keep that in mind. It could just simply mean you've outgrown your environment, your workload is unsustainable, your role no longer matches your strengths, and your boundaries have eroded. These are role problems, not career failures. So let's talk about when you need to make a role change first, and then we'll get into career change. But when a role change is likely enough to increase your job satisfaction, is when you still respect the work, but you don't respect the context. And what this means is when you're paying attention to what you're complaining about. If your frustration centers on leadership decisions, lack of clarity or resources, inefficient systems, constant bouts of urgency or constant fire drills, there's always something that needs to be taken care of immediately. However, all that being said, the actual work still feels meaningful to you. That is a strong indicator that you are just in the wrong organization, not the wrong career. The work hasn't failed you, the structure within the organization has. So just look for a new organization to work with. I would even go further to say that if you begin to stop caring about the work itself and you're just basically there to collect a check, you're making sure that the bare minimum is being done to just cross off a to-do list item. If you're becoming more reckless with your words, where you're basically just saying whatever comes out of your mouth, and you're not filtering anything, you're just keeping it real, as they say, to your colleagues, your boss, board of directors, whoever is around you, you are probably just needing to find a different organization to work with because you're just fed up with either the inefficiencies of the current place you're working, leadership not backing you. I don't know your situation, but depending on what that looks like, you're just sick of the organization and you just need to go in to find a new place to work. Not necessarily a career change is needed. You also may need a role change if you feel like yourself when you're outside of work. This one matters more than people like to admit. If on weekends, vacations, or slower weeks in the office, if your humor returns, if your creativity comes back, if your patience increases, that suggests that the work is draining you, not erasing you. Burnout distorts perception and it makes everything look like a dead end. So again, that literally could just be the office setting itself, where it could just be an oppressive environment where you feel like you can't show up authentically, you can't be yourself, whether it's the workload, again, any kind of policies in place that, again, prevent you from being your authentic self. But yet, immediately when you step outside the office, you are your true authentic self. Consider going to a different organization so you can be yourself. Another reason why role change may be better for you is if you can name a better version of the same role that you're in. If you can clearly articulate like what will make this job more sustainable, what kind of support you need to be at your best self, what kind of environment that you thrive in, then your dissatisfaction is with the organization. If you're a person who needs a new career, usually they cannot describe a better version of the same work because they don't want to do it at all. They don't care about the career. They don't see themselves in that position in the long term. They want nothing to do with it. But if you still care about the work, then you're able to name things that will make the role better for you and what you would possibly be looking for in your next job, your next role with another organization. So stay within your career, just get to a new organization. And then lastly, a role change will probably be best for you if you still want professional development just on your own terms. Again, you still care about the quality of your work. You care about doing things well. You just want to be excellent at your job. You're just tired of being excellent in a system that doesn't reward or respect it. That's not a sign to abandon your skill set and go off to another career. It just is a sign to find an organization who will truly value them. Again, I would say if you are a person who is, again, caring about your work and you're loving your job, again, just consider the organization first as the first thing you should change. But if that resonates with you, that's your first step. However, if you did not see yourself in any of those 4 points, you may be heading for a career change, and that's totally fine. But let's start with this. A career change is best for you if the work itself just feels heavy for you. Even in the perfect conditions, the work absolutely drains you. If you had a magic wand and you can change your job to make it the perfect job and you still just don't care, if it requires you to be someone different that you're no longer interested in being when it comes to your career, when you're not energized by problem solving in your career and you're just relieved when the job is done, when you're walking out the office and you're just take a big sigh of relief because at the end of the day, you don't want to do that. All those things, that's not something that a better manager can fix for you. Those are all internal things. Because again, in this situation, you would think, oh, well, let me consider a organizational change. And for that, none of that is going to help you. You need a different career at that point because you can have the best manager in your field, in your industry. But at the core of it, you're just not happy with the work itself because you're just no longer interested in being part of that. And that's okay. Another tip for you, if to see if you need to do a career change, is you can't see a future version of yourself in the field. This is one of the clearest signs, honestly. When you look ahead and you think, I don't want this job in the future. I don't want my manager's job in the future. That lifestyle no longer appeals to me. I don't admire that outcome. It's clarity is what you're having. You're trusting what you feel because that is the clearest signal that you are not in the career that you're supposed to be in. You don't leave careers because you're incapable. You're just leaving because you're just uninterested. And that's kind of where you're at this point. Another reason for a career shift versus a role shift is your values have quietly shifted. This happens slowly than all at once. A perfect example is myself. I know when I was younger, I was motivated by titles, prestige, visibility. I cringe now because I was like, girl, what were you smoking? But I used to be an intern at a government organization, and I used to always say, oh, I want to run this place one day. I want to be the head honcho. I want to be calling the shots. And now as I sit here in my 30s, I'm like, oh, I would never, I would not even want to be my manager back then. I am happy being an individual contributor. So that being said, again, what once motivated you, it no longer motivates you. You might want to consider a career change. I know Deloitte, they had surveyed Gen Z workers, and it was like only 6% of them said they wanted their primary career goal to be a leadership position. 6%. Millennials have also been surveyed to not look ideally on leadership roles because they've seen the perceived stress of it all and then the lack of work-life balance. And they see their managers and they're like, what is this worth? And same, in my position, when I started to, government is government in itself. That's a whole totally different beast and career. But when I started looking beyond the curtain and seeing what my managers and directors would have to do to get things going and to complete projects, and I was just like, I would be losing a piece of myself, I think. And it just also doesn't seem appealing because it's not what I originally thought it was. And once I realized, I took off the rose-colored glasses, I was like, okay, this is not the idealized version of public service that I thought this was. I'm out, And, I would say if you're wanting more autonomy, more creativity, more rest, and more meaning in your work, but you're not seeing that in your current career, when your values shift, careers often stop fitting. And that's okay. It's not because they're bad. It's just because they belong to an earlier version of you. So that, younger me, that younger intern who wanted to do all the things, she wasn't wrong. It's just like, okay, I grew up, I got work experience. I figured out what was really, again, behind the curtain. And it's like, That's lovely for someone else, but that's not for me. And it's all good. I'm sure there is someone who will want to be a manager, and same thing your position. I'm sure there is someone who will want to be a manager and be in leadership position. It doesn't have to be you. Take account of your values. And again, if they're not aligning with the career that you're in now, it's totally okay. And then lastly, I would say if your curiosity has shifted somewhere else, it might be time for a career change. And what I mean is notice what you're drawn to without trying. What do you read about? What conversations light you up? What skills do you practice when no one is watching? When it comes to professional development, do you resist going to professional development sessions because you just don't care? Are you dreading going to conferences or trainings simply because the content no longer interests you? And going back to an earlier point, you probably are thinking, I don't see myself here in the long term. I don't see myself in the future. So I don't care about going to professional development trainings or sessions. My friend, it may be time for a career shift for you. So all that being said, instead of asking yourself, though, when you're thinking about all these different questions, whether it's a career shift or a organizational shift, ask yourself this: should I quit? Or not ask yourself. Actually, instead of asking, should I quit? Ask yourself, am I seeking relief or redirection? And if you're seeking relief, then I would say go and just look at another job description, look at another organization. If you need redirection, you need a career shift. Another question to ask yourself is, would a healthier version of this career still feel wrong? So again, if you had the magic wand and you can fix everything in one go, and you still just feel like you're in the wrong spot, consider a career change. Are you exhausted or are you done? Is another good question to ask. And the difference is burnout through exhaustion says, I can't do this right now. Done is just saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't care about this job. I need to get out. They feel very similar, but they lead to very different decisions. So those are some of the better questions to ask rather than asking yourself, should I quit? Because should I quit, I feel like it's just more so a temporary emotional question to ask yourself. It's not getting to the deeper parts of the why behind it. So that's my little 2 cents on that. But an important reminder, you don't have to know what the next thing is yet. So once you figure out if it's a career shift or a role shift, at least you know which one it is. And then from there, I would say it's just a matter of being honest with yourself and really literally sitting down with a piece of paper and a pen and figuring out what are the things that I hate about my job or my career right now. So that way you don't end up going into a job or another career that has those same features that you absolutely hate. So really just being honest with yourself. You need to know your motivations, your intentions. So again, you don't go into a new place and carry those same things with you. I'd rather you be hopefully thriving than resenting your new career or your new organization that you're working with. So not every career change is dramatic. Not every role change is small. What matters isn't how bold the move looks from the outside, but it's more so how true it feels on the inside. You're allowed to outgrow things. You're allowed to change and evolve quietly. And you're allowed to change and choose a life that fits what you're becoming, and that includes your career as well. So that is all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. What do you agree with, disagree with? What are your thoughts on this? If you're new here, welcome. If you've been around these parts before, welcome back. My name is Moni, and I am creating videos for those looking to redesign their life with intention. I talk about all types of different topics on this channel. On my channel page, they're all listed out in different playlists. But you can head over there if you want to check anything out, if you're curious about a specific topic. If this kind of content resonates with you, do me a solid. I'd love it if you will like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I post daily, so I'll be right back here tomorrow. Until then, treat yourself to something nice. You deserve it. Bye.